to thank you all for being here today. We are at a point in the process which starts to reflect on what we have been doing as a caucus over this whole period of time. And that happens because, of course, we're looking now at a budget. We're looking at a budget which is on its way to completion, not this week, maybe not next week, but probably very shortly. Those conferences are going well, and we're doing those differently. There's been a lot of innovation and reform in this session, in our caucus, and as well as in the governor's and the Senate. This is a time that we're reflecting on the importance of what we started to do in this session. We started to open the process dramatically. That was extremely important for the people of the state of Ohio, because when we came to be the majority in this House, we faced an $8 billion deficit, and as a result of that, we spent a great deal of our time trying to simplify government, cut back on the size of government, do the kinds of things that we had to do in order to fill that $8 billion hole, and do it without new taxes. That will be an accomplishment of this session of the General Assembly. And it is an extremely important accomplishment because we today stand at the beginning of a new Ohio. We have made changes in our ability to create business and industry in this state. And of course, as everyone knows, that means very important focus and emphasis on small business. Today is Small Business Day in the Capitol. And we're going to take a look today at what we've been able to do in that very important area. 70% of our new jobs in this state will come from small business. That's a given. That's a national statistic, but it's also an Ohio statistic. We've been very fortunate to have a focus on that area throughout this session, which has done a lot of good and made a lot of changes in small business. And we've been fortunate to have not only a majority of our caucus focused in this area, but also to have a very dynamic committee devoted to creating, through legislation, new jobs and new opportunities for the people of this state. We have people who were left behind by the last administration. Their emphasis was not on job creation. It was quite different, on social programs and so forth. Today we wanted to see that the people of Ohio have jobs, have work, and have prospects. I'm very, very proud of the chairman of the committee charged with this responsibility, Nan Baker, who has really worked very, very diligently with all kinds of organizations outside the General Assembly, and more important, within her committee, has had a very dynamic situation of job creation. And I'm going to ask her at this time to come forward and share some of the things which were done so far in this session. And I think I said to you that the last press conference that we had, you ain't seen nothing yet. One more time, I will iterate that to you. We are working diligently for the future of the jobs creation program for the state of Ohio, and we appreciate the hard work that Nan has put in on it for us, that all the members of that committee have put in, and that the caucus has been very definitely oriented toward accomplishing. It's a big job, it's a difficult job, but it's one to which dedication will make a production which will give us the opportunity to create those jobs that we need so much. Nan?
I'm Nan Baker, State Representative, representing the 16th Ohio House District. And it doesn't matter what district we all come from, we are all suffering with loss of jobs. And our intent for as long as I'm here will be focused on creating, retaining, and bringing jobs here to Ohio. Many of the members behind me are part of our Small Business Economic Development Committee. We have all been working very hard, staying focused, even through this economic crisis of trying to balance our budget, which we have, and I'm very proud to say that it is balanced, and I believe we will be there on June 30th. But our focus, as long as I'm here, is going to be on creating an environment for jobs. We have passed through our committee, since we've been here in the first 5.5 to 6 months. Regulatory reform, that was Lieutenant Governor's task, and we certainly embraced it. Representative Rogner and Thompson led the charge, and our committee certainly did embrace that along with the Senate. And I'm glad to say that those small businesses out there that certainly have issues with mandates and regulations have a place now for the Common Sense Initiative Office to contact to answer some of those questions and relieve them of some of the unnecessary regulations that could be hurting their business. We are also working with NFIB and COSI and the Ohio Chamber on the Small Business Resource Portal, which is part of the Ohio Business Gateway. That was brought to us when we brought them around the table in the last General Assembly. What do we need to do in order to create an environment for jobs? And one of them was to improve upon the Ohio Business Gateway, specifically the Small Business Resource Portal, where many businesses go to find out what regulatory reforms there are, what small business can do. Many of the taxes that are being paid are through the Secretary of State's office, and there's links that take them over there. So we are actively working, have had roundtable meetings, and we'll have another one actually tomorrow with the same group, with the Department of Administrative Services, to discuss what it is we need to do to improve for our small businesses to be able to resource that portal through the gateway. I've also given a charge, and I don't have to do much to do it, to our members in the Small Business Committee to go back to their districts this summer to talk to as many business owners as they can and bring back with them what it is we need to do to continue to improve the climate here in Ohio. There's nothing like going to a small business owner and asking him, what is it that we can do? Here in Columbus, sometimes we feel a little isolated from our districts, but when we go back in the summer, that will be our charge. And I look forward to talking to our members when we get back to find out what else can we do to improve the climate. You know, as I continue to say, and will always say until I can't say it anymore, it's all about jobs. We can cut, we can do all the things that we absolutely have to do in order to balance our budget. But we have to get people back to work. And getting people back to work creates that revenue that we need in this state in order to create the revenue to pay for the programs and the schools and the cities and things that those services, as Governor Kasich this morning said, those that are physically or mentally disabled that need our help as a contribution. But only that happens when people go back to work. And that is our focus. That's where we're going to be. I look forward to working again with NFIB and COSI and the Ohio Chamber and the Manufacturers Association. Anyone who wants to chime in, we're there to listen. And we will be back after the summer break with even more ideas to bring to the table. But I will introduce now Chris Ferruso, who is the Legislative Director of NFIB. He's been a wonderful asset to us, and we look forward to working with him in the future, along with other business groups. Thank you for having us today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Representative Baker. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. It's quite the audience back here. I think it shows the commitment to small business. We couldn't be more pleased with the turnout and being invited to participate in this press conference. This committee has been solely focused on creating jobs and tearing down some of the burdens that our small businesses face in this state. Representative Baker hit the nail on the head. Regulatory reform. There's a meeting that I attend with our members, and we have 19 of them across the state, so we are constantly in touch through our extensive grassroots network with our membership. There's not a meeting that I attend where a member doesn't raise a concern with the regulatory burden. So we were very supportive of and very grateful for the efforts of this committee and the leadership of Speaker Batchelder, sponsors Representative Thompson and Rogner in the House, to help get regulatory reform done through establish the CSI office so that our members can get back to doing what they do best, and that's creating jobs. Government getting out of the way and helping them create jobs. So we were very grateful for that. In addition to that, the speaker talked about the budget. We can debate what the number is. The fact remains it's billions in the hole, and we are very grateful to the members behind me for their support and not taking the easy way out to generate more revenue, and that was simply increase taxes. So we increase taxes, it disproportionately impacts small businesses. The majority of them are pass-through entities. So that commitment to that final 4.2% reduction of the personal income tax is huge for the small business community. So we're very pleased in that budget. We of course will be working diligently. Have our members here this afternoon to talk to the members behind us as well as those from the other chamber to make sure that that remains in the budget. In addition to that, we are very pleased that the estate tax was added in the House, the repeal of the estate tax. It's an onerous tax. It does impact small business. As you've heard probably many times, many small businesses and many family farmers are land rich but cash poor. And the reality is when they pass on and they want to leave a legacy, they have to pay the tax man on their death. So very grateful for that repeal. Happy to see that it's in the budget, and we're hoping that it remains in there through conference committee. Beyond that, we are very grateful that overall we feel as an organization that the budget held small business harmless. And that is crucial and key. As the speaker mentioned, small businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs. They may not have the fancy ribbon cutting ceremonies of the 2,000 person plan or what have you, but rest assured that 2 out of every 3 new jobs created in this country and in Ohio were done so by small business. So they truly are the economic engine and drivers of the state. Again, I just want to express our gratitude as an organization to the members behind me, their commitment, and certainly the work of the House Economic and Small Business Development Committee.
Speaker, do you have is there a next big thing coming in terms of helping small business or helping business maybe after the break?
Yes, and it may be in the budget. We're working on a final draft, and I can't tell you what it is. When the governor lands today, he's on his way to Cleveland and to Cincinnati. When he's available to us, we're going to go over a proposal that I think will be absolutely fascinating, not just to people in this state, but to people who are in surrounding states competing with us for job investment. And hopefully we'll have that ready today yet. If not, it'll probably be ready tomorrow.
Some Democratic representatives have floated the idea of creating an Ohio version of the WPA.
Sure.
5,000 jobs, 27,500 salary, that sort of thing. You're familiar with it. Can you speak to what you think about that?
Well, I wouldn't want to speak for the whole caucus because I think he might have been in the WPA, but he's not here. I got away with that one. It's an idea which, in this time of desperation, was helpful to a lot of people. But I would rather see us passing jobs in Ohio, maybe with a couple of Democrat votes even beyond Representatives Patman and Barnes, so that we create jobs that are real jobs. We don't need anybody shoveling holes and then refilling them. So that's my general response to that. On the other hand, I do think that there are times that we have to create jobs, particularly in certain geographic areas where the difficulties are severe. But I do not see that as the way to solve what's happening to us right now. There are a lot of businesses moving in this country, and Texas can't get them all.
You said in certain geographic areas, though, you would see needs to create jobs. Do you think that this should be scaled down maybe to certain geographic areas of the state, or what do you think about that?
I'm not suggesting any alternative at this point. I would want to speak to the governor's people. The southeast part of the state, once again, is faced with higher than average job problems. But equally, obviously, if we can train people to do jobs, we have all kinds of opportunities for people in this state. There are thousands of jobs available in the classifieds and in the job advertising that goes on. And our best opportunity is to take people who need those jobs, match them to employers, and get the training done in between to broker it and get it done. We have, I believe, still 47 job programs in the state of Ohio, and that's ridiculous. We have to simplify that in order to deliver those services, and I know the governor's intent on doing that too.
Speaker, just referenced a couple minutes ago about the idea of how big the budget deficit was that you were dealing with. Can you address some concerns about maybe it was only about $5 billion instead of $8 billion?
Yeah, I can. I just have the representation by the former speaker and the former governor indicating that it was 8. They weren't really giving me much inside material at that time. But yeah, it was $8 billion, and our governor says 7.7, but you know, you can round here and there. You still got a 15 to 16% hole in the budget, and there are a lot of things you can do to solve that. Most of them are bad. But we did avoid, obviously, the problem that Ohio has been dogged by in recent years. We did not increase taxes in this state. The president of the Ford Motor Company visited me the other day, representatives of the Macquarie Banking Institution, they own the Indiana Pike, and so forth. All of them said they were here because Ohio is turning. Ohio's turning, and they want to be here ahead of the parade in order to take advantage of that.
The conference committee today is going to get some new budget revenue numbers.
They are.
I don't know if what you talked about before with your new big plan has, if that's part of it, or if there are.
This is another big plan.
This is another big plan. Can you express some of your thoughts on what should be done if there are in fact additional revenues available for the upcoming 2 years?
Last month we had, in this whole nation, 54,000 jobs created. I'm not looking for a huge increase in revenue. I think what we are facing is going to be a hope that we can rebuild the stabilization fund so that if there are future problems, and those could come at any time, that we want to be in a position to once again do what has to be done without raising taxes. No new taxes.
Sorry, so we have time for one more question. Anybody has one?
When you look at the overall agenda, you mentioned that you're going to be talking about jobs and other economic issues later on. What about some of the other ideas that might come into the House agenda later this year, the heartbeat bill, some of these other bills that are out there, might they come to the floor?
They might. Everything in the Rules Committee is fair game. For me, the other ones have.
Any timeline or possibility of a date or?
No, my sense is that we're going to be very occupied with the budget thing, and that some other things. Today, for example, we have to pass a bill because both houses passed the same bill, but that's not a new initiative. So I think we may see some very significant things done there, but partly it will depend upon what happens in terms of the budget and the time that it takes. After we finish the budget in both houses, then there's a period of time in which the clerk does the real bill, and that is not a short thing. They'll do that over a weekend, probably 3 to 4 days. And then the governor has to review the bill because saints preserve us, there might be a veto somewhere. And so we obviously are not encouraging the governor to look at it that closely, but on the other hand, I've known him for 40 years, and I'd have to say he might well do that. You just can't be certain. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your attention and participation.